You have actually given us an extraordinary view into the way in which all of us cultural practitioners um, take part in cultural politics, or both of you, of course, and hopefully me too. So I think one way in which to sum it up is to say, in the times we live in the extraordinarily sad times we live in, where culture and politics are sometimes forcibly separated or sought to be separated. And we have to reiterate in so many ways that art, every act of art is, of course, political, not in crude and obvious ways, but in complex ways. And of course, we all agree on that. I thought we would tie this up by asking both of you if you could sum up for the youth of this country, because of course we must look towards the youth. What is Soumitra Chatterjee's legacy, both in terms of our culture, which we hear so much rubbish about, his legacy in terms of our culture, and his legacy in terms of the idea of India? Just in a couple of sentences. Aparna, what do you think?
I think his legacy has been that of, while being a Marxist, he was never a card holding party member, ever. As Shomita said, that he said he couldn't be a part time leftist. You see, the thing is that we were all at that time, any kind of thinking, sensitive individual at that time had a left lean, and I think they still do. They still do. But you know, I found his legacy to be one of very close to his mentor, Satyajit Ray, who never engaged in party politics, but who actually was essentially at heart, like my father, like me, like I think Shomita also perhaps, essentially a humanist. Anybody who perceives the inequalities in the system, in the country, in the institutions, I think rebels against those inequalities. And Shomitra certainly was that. I mean, I have always found him to be somebody always, always ready to protest and ready to stand up against any form of inequality. This, I think, was a very special thing about him, and uh, a special thing about many people that I knew, but which is fast disappearing. Some of the last people left are people like perhaps Shomikda and myself, and one or two other people that we know. But Shomitra was important in that because he was such a celebrity. When he said something, his voice made a difference. I mean, the very fact that he was protesting against something which was inhuman, unequal, whatever, his voice, his lending his voice made a lot of difference, and he knew that, and he lent his voice. I didn't find him afraid to do that ever.
Shamita, what do you think? An independent critical voice is what Aparna is saying, but humanist. Yes.
An independent critical voice, a humanist. But in the last few years, I found him, and that was one of the major points of contact or exchange or interaction that I had with him, and he would call me over to talk about his doubts and concerns about the recession of the left, the contradictions within the left, the conflicts within the left, and he would read and try to think and think beyond these to a still visionary idea, call it an ethos or call it a mythos even, of the left, the liberated, powerful, assertive, free fighting left. That was one of the concerns, deep concerns. He would read a lot, he would talk a lot, he he would call me over to discuss this concern of his. So that critical concern with the future of the left, how left should resist all the attacks that have come over the left and the decay of several of the old virtues and values of common humanism even. So that fear, that terror haunted him, and a deep concern about that remained till the end of his life.
Thank you so much, both of you. And I guess I should sum it up by saying that the best way to pay tribute to Soumitra Chatterjee's work, his life, the values he held, and the values that so many of his contemporaries held, is to actually work hard with the youth to build an alternative cultural front. Which is not sectarian, which is equal, and most of all, which is inclusive.
And also not casteist.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Which is works towards equality on, yes, absolutely, in terms of caste, community, and gender, and all the terrible old and new fault lines that we have in India. Thank you so much, both of you.
Thank you. Thank you, Gita. Thank you, Soumitra.
Thank you.